Okay, so what a way to kick off the new season of championship rings because Micah Parsons got traded right before we got on the air. Josh, how you doing, my man?
Literally, I had just texted you like minutes before this news came out saying, hey, can we talk about this Micah Parsons news? Because reports had come out that the Packers were willing to listen to trade offers. And then what, like 10 minutes later, maybe not even, boom, we find out he's traded to the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, so sorry, ladies and gentlemen, for this anticlimactic start. We had all these graphics and everything planned out, ready to go for the new season, and Micah Parsons just shut down every plan we had. So let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We're gonna get into the big college football games for week one. We're gonna talk all things Major League Baseball, the potential new media rights deal. We're gonna talk about everything that's been going on in wrestling over the past month since we've been away. But Josh, I don't want to spoil anything because this Sunday we're going to be live at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Be there or be square on our Championship Rings Twitter account at Rings Champion, on the Under the Max YouTube channel, on the Championship Rings YouTube channel. We're going to be giving away our full 2025 NFL predictions from top to bottom. I don't want to spoil anything, but let me just say, before this trade, I had the Green Bay Packers having a very good year. Now, in my opinion, if you ask me, again, without spoiling anything, I think they are right up there at the top of the class in the NFC.
They just became the top threat to your Philadelphia Eagles.
Again, without spoiling anything, I do agree.
Without a doubt. Spoiler alert, I already had them winning the NFC North this season. This trade just solidified that. All they had to give up was nose tackle Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks.
And those picks are going to be at the bottom of the first round. For all we know, they may end up being 32. Now, it's this year, coming up in the 2026 draft, and I believe 2027 as well. Now, here's the thing. Another spoiler, but again, not getting into the two specifics here yet. I thought the Dallas Cowboys were going to be a bad football team this year, not even sniffing the postseason prior to this Micah Parsons trade. Now, if you ask me, it has signified what I said the Dallas Cowboys should do going into last year. I said they should not have given Dak Prescott the big contract. I said they should have found a way to move on from Dak. I said they needed to go out. They needed to take a big swing. They needed to go out and either get Bill Belichick or they needed to pair Deion Sanders with his son, Shedeur Sanders. And yet, what they decided to do was, let's hire Brian Schottenheimer and trade for George Pickens. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here today. This is not my Philadelphia Eagle fan of me talking. I promise you to tell you the Dallas Cowboys brand as America's team is officially dead once again because the Dallas Cowboys are now dead as a franchise once again. They may be sitting there thinking, can we try to get Arch Manning, whether he comes out this year or next year?
Yeah. I'm going to have to change my NFC East predictions because I had them finishing third behind the Commanders and Eagles. Not exactly in that order, but I'm not going to get more into it. Now, I'm looking at the Giants and I'm going, maybe they could jump the Cowboys for third place in that division.
Right. I mean, the hard part is with the Giants, they have the hardest schedule for a fourth place team I've ever seen. And who knows what they're going to get a quarterback. And Brian Dable and Joe Shane may be fired by October. But I can totally see a world where the Giants now finish third and the Cowboys finish fourth. Like, I think it's on the board. By the way, if you have not already, I'm not here to give gambling advice. I know, Josh, you don't gamble a lot. But before this trade happened, I already bet the Cowboys win total at under 7.5. I guarantee if that line hasn't moved yet, go do it right now, people, because it's going to be under 7.5.
Think about this. Week 4, Sunday
Yes.
Night Football.
The day before my birthday, by the way. What a treat this is going to be for me.
Packers at Cowboys. Micah returns to Dallas. But I'll tell you another big one, and it involves your Dallas Cowboys. Week 10.
Wait, my Dallas Cowboys?
Or wait, oops. I meant your Philadelphia Eagles. I stand corrected. Sorry. It's because we're talking about Dallas and all that.
I could punch my computer screen right now for you to even think that the Dallas Cowboys are my team. I know what you meant. Go on.
Your Philadelphia Eagles travel to Lambeau to take on the Packers. Week 10 Monday Night Football.
They do.
Yes, those two games just became the biggest of the season, in my opinion.
Wait, Packers Cowboys is not the biggest game of the season.
I'm saying Packers Cowboys purely from a storyline perspective.
Yeah, bro. You know they're my Cowboys. Yeah, you got a kick out of that. All right.
Yes. I'm saying that week 4 game purely from a storyline perspective. And then that week 10 game because the Packers and Eagles already have a rivalry, and this just added more fuel to the fire.
Yeah, and I think it's a rivalry now that's going to be a conference rivalry. Could be pretty similar to the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs or the Bengals and Chiefs or whatever. Like, I'm sorry for you Lions fans. Friend of the show, Jalen Sandvik, is a big Detroit Lions fan. We both said at the end of last year, that year, no matter what injuries they got on defense, felt like that was the year for the Lions win the Super Bowl. They could not get it done. Now, all of a sudden, you got to go up against Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, and still mostly that defensive front with a Packer team that won 11 games last year with Jordan Love basically hobbled throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
And by the way, let's not underestimate what impact this could have for the Packers on the offensive side of the ball. Because if you have a good defense, we all saw what Philadelphia's defense did for the offense last year. We know they have Josh Jacobs at running back. We know the cast of receivers they have. If Matthew Golden out of Texas becomes a number 1 wide receiver, look out for the Green Bay Packers.
Yes. I was already planning on going to that week 3 game here in Cleveland between
Good one, Joe Flacco. The stretcher crew maybe getting ready. I suggest the backup quarterback that's about as tall as me better get rid of the come in and play. More on that Sunday, ladies and gentlemen.
Trust me, I was already planning on going to that game because I've never actually seen the Packers here in Cleveland. Well, I did in preseason, but for me, that doesn't count. But now there's no way I'm missing this game. You're telling me I get to see Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, the green and gold. What?
And by the way, you'll probably be able to get cheap tickets for $5 possibly in the dog pound.
You're probably right. Though I expect the Browns to be 1-1 going into that game. But you talked about it, though, in terms of what impact this could have on the Packers' offense. I expect Green Bay to be a very run-heavy team, kind of like your Eagles were last year with Saquon. I don't know if Green Bay will use Josh Jacobs quite to the same extent that the Eagles use Saquon. But nonetheless, like I said, I expect them to be very run-heavy.
Well, that is Matt LaFleur's background. Remember when he came from Tennessee to Green Bay? That was the whole conversation with him and Aaron. I mean, let's not forget, Aaron Rodgers did win 2 back-to-back MVPs in this very offense.
Yes. And so when you run the ball effectively and can have long drives, guess what? That gives the defense time to rest, recover, and you're telling me I get to put potentially a fresh Micah Parsons next to Rashawn Gary, along with some of their other pieces? Yeah, good luck being the Packers.
And just when I had my optimism about the Chicago Bears this year,
Yeah. That Packers-Lions game in week 1, as if it wasn't already interesting enough, now we get this piece of news.
Here's the other part. This was the first thought that came to mind. Do you agree with me that all of a sudden Micah Parsons is going to go, you know what? My back feels pretty damn good.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I mentioned this to you off air right before we got started. It's interesting to me, and I understand why we're leading off the show with this, but like all offseason, Micah Parsons was the big story of what's going to happen with him and the Cowboys and Jerry Jones and, all the different things. But you still had everything with Terry McLaurin not having a deal. You still had everything with Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals. And yet you didn't hear a lot about either one of them because it was Micah this, Micah that. Oh, Jerry Jones said this.
Well, that's the difference, right? For the Commanders, it was mostly private with McLaurin. Everybody sort of thought, even if he did request a trade at some point, he was going to come back to Washington. The Anderson thing got a little bit dicey, obviously, because Cincinnati's cheap and they were fooling them around and all that. But Jerry Jones is the one that made this thing public by going out every day and saying, look at us. And also they had that documentary about the Cowboys in the 90s come out on Netflix, and Jerry was doing publicity for that and basically confirmed that, yeah, I'd rather have a terrible football team and have you guys talk about me 24 hours a day than me never talk and us to have a great football team.
Is it purely because it was the Cowboys that this Micah Parsons news dominated the headlines and the airwaves?
I think Jerry had a lot to do with it. Okay. Going out there talking every day. I mean, they made a new story out of it every day because Jerry every day would come on and basically say, hey, this is between me and Micah. And Micah said, you shut out my agent, which is, by the way, technically illegal. And Jerry Jones knows this. Jerry Jones has violated the NFL CBA and doesn't seem to care.
Because, I mentioned this to you a couple times on our show, I think. In my opinion, between the Micah Parsons story and the Terry McLaurin news, I felt like the Terry McLaurin contract situation with the Commanders was the bigger story.
Yeah, obviously, if they didn't get him back, that would have been a huge loss for them, and everybody had more higher expectations for the Commanders this year. They do the Cowboys. Again, does this take Dallas from a 6-win team to a 4? Maybe.
But do you get my point though? That is it?
Well, it's because Micah overall. I'm sorry if you're just ranking players. Micah's a better player than Terry McLaurin.
That I agree with, but he's not at least in my opinion, he's not a more impactful player.
I've argued with you on Micah Parsons' impact, but I do think edge rusher is a more premium position than receiver. So if I'm taking the choice between the two players, I take Micah, especially, by the way, for a Commanders team that has absolutely no pass rush.
That part is true, yes. And there was no way the Dallas Cowboys were going to trade Micah Parsons in the division. I'm honestly...
No, I never thought he was going to the Eagles. There was speculation out there. Obviously, he went to Penn State. I never thought in a million years it was going to happen.
Oh, no way.
I didn't even think he'd go to the NFC. I'm shocked he's going to the same conference.
I'm even more shocked he's going to the Packers because the Packers might as well be a division rival for the Cowboys considering the long history those two have.
Well, and think about this. They never really acquire big-name free agents. The moves they make are mostly in the draft and the occasional trade. This may be the biggest trade in the history of the franchise.
Hell, for God's sakes, the draft was in Green Bay, and what did they do? They draft a
wide receiver for the first round in over 20 years. Now, saying that, do I think Micah Parsons is worth $47 million a year annually? I have been on the record. I do not think that because I don't even think Myles Garrett's worth $40 million. I don't think Trey Anderson's worth that money. I said at the time we signed Garrett back in March, I would never pay a defensive lineman $40 million a year. But this is the rate we're going. The salary cap is going to go up. And you know what? I'm sure they're going to do some contingencies in there, some signing bonuses, and 2-3 years down the line, he's going to be cheap.
Yeah. But God, as if the NFC wasn't already scary enough, now you get this, because you have the Eagles, you have the Packers, you have the Commanders, you have the Vikings, or maybe the Vikings, we'll see, maybe the Bears, but you have Tampa Bay. Atlanta looks like they could be a decent team. You know, the NFC is going to be scary. Plus, you have the Rams if Matthew Stafford is healthy.
If you think of the NFC right now, I think the only teams you can legitimately make a case the Cowboys are better than is the Saints and maybe the Giants and maybe the Panthers.
No, I would argue the Panthers are actually better because of how well Bryce Young played towards the end of the season.
That's why I said maybe. Okay, from the NFL, we got to move on to what we were originally going to start with today to kick off our show, because it is week 1 of the college football season, and there are big games across the board. Saturday afternoon, Saturday midday, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night that we are going to get to, starting off with the biggest opening week 1 game in the history of this great sport known as college football.
And I love that this game is happening in Columbus. It's not a neutral site game.
Good point.
It's in Columbus, which for me only adds to the magnitude of this. It is a rematch of last year's college football playoff in which Ohio State won. But you also have Arch Manning entering his first full season as the starting quarterback for Texas, because Quinn Ewers is now a Miami Dolphin. You have, I forget the name of the starting quarterback for Ohio. Julian Staten, thank you. He played sparingly last season, basically in a mop-up role. He's starting his first game for Ohio State because Will Howard is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. A lot of the guys who were on Texas and Ohio State are now in the NFL. You know, you mentioned Matthew Golden. He's now a Packer. Plus, on top of that, this is Lee Corso's final game on College Game Day. He will be making his final headgear pick this Saturday in Columbus. Texas, Ohio State, number 1 against number 3. I don't know what else you could say. This game is unbelievable.
You mentioned a bunch of guys, including Isaiah Bond, who just signed with the Browns on Texas, both Ohio State running backs, Quinion Junkins, Travion Anderson. Obviously, Will Howard is no longer there.
Jack Sawyer is no longer there.
In Jigba, the wide receiver that got drafted by Tampa Bay is no longer there.
You're thinking of Emeka Egbuka.
So there's going to be some changes for both teams. I'm going to ask one simple question, though, that I think this game boils down to. It's not even the location. It's not even the fact they're in Columbus. It's not even the fact that it's August 30th and we're trying to get all these new pieces in and all that. I think this game comes down to, are we sure Arch Manning is really good? I'm serious. Like, think about this for a second. Arch Manning could not beat out Quinn Ewers, who was originally projected to be a first-round pick when the season started and then got drafted in the 7th round by the Miami Dolphins. Quarterbacks taking over him include Will Howard, Kyle McCord. I mean, the fact that Arch Manning, Dylan Gabriel, obviously Shedeur, Cam Ward, the fact that Arch entered in last year. Remember, Quinn Ewers had some injury and Arch Manning came in. He played okay, not great. But the fact that Texas went back to Quinn Ewers, who could barely complete passes in the preseason for the Dolphins this year against basically firemen out there on the defense side of the ball. Are we sure that Arch Manning is just not in name only and that he's not yet a great quarterback? Because we've heard all these conversations about, oh, Trevor Lawrence is the next guy. How's that working out? oh, Caleb Williams, he's so amazing. How did he look last year as a rookie? I'm hearing the same thing about Arch Manning, and I'm here to say, let's pump the brakes.
We're going to learn a lot about Arch Manning this Saturday when he goes against Ohio State in Columbus. Again, I wish this game was happening in prime time with Kirk Herbstreit and Reese Davis or Chris Fowler on the call, but that's not the case.
It's going to be Gus Johnson and Joe Quinn, the Ohio State Buckeyes, as Gus Johnson would say.
Yes, both Big Noon Kickoff and College Game Day will be at this game. So that tells you the importance of it.
What's your feel for this? So again, I know I don't ask you a lot of gambling questions. I'm not asking if they cover or not. Ohio State is favored by 2.5. Should that piss Texas off that they are an underdog as the number 1 seed? It's the first time ever a week 1 team has been an underdog as the number 1 seed.
I mean, to be fair, Ohio State is at home and they are the defending national champions. So is it really disrespectful towards Texas? I don't think so. I truly don't think it's disrespect towards Texas. I think it's more the odds makers saying, you know what? Ohio State is the defending champions. They are playing at home. They should be favored, even though they're the number 3 team in the country. Which I'm actually surprised Ohio State is ranked number 3. Because they lost so much of that national championship team and they're breaking in a new quarterback.
Their roster is still loaded. And by the way, they still have who I believe today would be a top 3 wide receiver in the National Football League playing
Jeremiah
Smith.
Yes. I have a feeling a lot of the passes on Saturday from Julian, how do you say it? Julian Slayton?
Julian Satan.
Like Satan, if you get dragged down. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I have a feeling a lot of Julian Satan's passes are going to go towards Jeremiah Smith. So if you're Texas, do you potentially not double team him? But
it is Satan. My bad. Satan.
Okay, Satan. But if you're Texas, do you not necessarily double team him, but have a safety over the top so that he's not getting one-on-one coverage?
I mean, you would think. I actually, though, don't think there's going to be a lot of explosive plays in this game. I think I could see 1 or 2 ways of this game going. I think it's going to be one way, could be very similar to the college football semifinal game where it's like 20-17, 17-14, a little bit defensive. These 2 offenses trying to get into gear. The other thing I could see is, believe it or not, an Ohio State rout. I'm talking like 31-7. Texas is completely uncompetitive. Arch Manning is completely overwhelmed. They can't block the Ohio State defensive line. And we're going to learn, I think you're right, we're going to learn a lot about Arch in this game because I'm not sold on him yet. I've been fooled on Trevor Lawrence before. I hope I'm right on Caleb Williams. We'll see this year. But I keep hearing about, all of these great college quarterbacks, and they come to the NFL and they, can't play. So,
yeah. This is actually the first time Texas is playing at Ohio State since Saturday, September 10th, 2005. Which they won that game 25-22.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about the game then at 3:30 on ABC on Saturday between number 8 Alabama and Florida State. Now, Alabama, they do have a new quarterback this year. Obviously, Jalen Milroe has left for the NFL in Ty Simpson. This is now going to be Caleb DeVore's second year in Alabama, replacing Nick Saban. It was a little bit of a rocky first year for Alabama, just missing out on the CFP. But again, if you're like me and you think Texas may be not as good as some people think, I don't know if they should be the number 1 rated team in the country. You still have Georgia up there with Kirby Smart. This to me does feel like in Caleb DeVore's second year, a rebound year for Alabama, especially on the defense side of the ball. Very similar to how Nick Saban did his second year at the program. I think Alabama makes a statement here. I think they squash Florida State.
I think this is going to be a very interesting game. I like that Alabama is starting the season on the road in a hostile environment, Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee. I know a lot of people thought College Game Day would be here because Corso loves Florida State. But again, that's not what's happening. Nonetheless, though, I'll be curious to see what Florida State looks like this season. They want to be taken seriously as a contender in the ACC alongside the likes of Clemson, Miami, SMU, maybe North Carolina, depending on what Bill Belichick does there. If you want to be taken seriously, how about you start by knocking off Alabama in your home stadium?
It would be a word of a shocker for me. This is the game where I think Alabama puts on a fireworks show. Caleb DeVore's second year, offensive-minded head coach, comes out with a bunch of new tricks. Ryan Williams, basically a similar receiver to what Jeremiah Smith has done at Ohio State. I think he has another great year for Alabama, and I think that this is the start of Alabama once again being in contention for the SEC championship. They may not be as dominant as they were under Saban, but that brand, I believe, is still very strong. I don't think that they're going to go under. I believe that they are going to compete for the SEC championship this year.
You would think so, but who knows? Because you still, in the SEC, you still have Tennessee. You still have Ole Miss. We'll see what Oklahoma looks like this season.
I'm not a big fan of Brent Venables. I know they knocked off Alabama last year. That was the worst game I ever seen Jalen Milroe play or any Alabama quarterback play for the first time in a long time. But Oklahoma doesn't have the offensive firepower, I believe, to keep up with these legitimate teams in the SEC.
Well, they get to host Michigan next week.
Which, by the way, I've been talking about this forever. I love the fact that college football is making week 1, week 2, etc. events. You know, it's not Cupcake City for every team the first 3 weeks of the season, where the college football season really doesn't start until the middle of October. Like, I would have even loved it even more if we were under the old playoff format. I mean, could you imagine Texas against Ohio State? And if you lose that game, you're basically out of the playoff week 1.
Yeah. As a Penn State fan, I don't like that we're starting the season with Nevada. Like, really? We could have scheduled a game against Tennessee or, I don't know, Florida. But nope, let's go with Nevada.
Now, this one's really interesting. This will be the night game with Fowler and Herb Street on Saturday night between number 9 LSU, led by Brian Kelly, number 4 Clemson, led by Dabo Swinney. What am I missing about Clemson this year? But how did they go from 16 to 4?
Because people believe in Cade Klubnik as their starting quarterback. And this Clemson team, they are projected to be just that good. This is a rematch of the 2019 National Championship down in New Orleans, where Joe Burrow just went bonkers and LSU routed Clemson.
That was the greatest college football team of all time. I don't care what anybody says.
Yes, Clemson was not going to win that game. This is the Tiger Bowl. This is the Battle of Death Valleys, because LSU's stadium is also called Death Valley, as is
you're
Clemson. Right. Let's see. I don't get the Clemson hype. Well, no. LSU is not going to roll. LSU has struggled in week 1. I believe every year Brian Kelly's been there. Haven't they had this like Sunday or Saturday night big TV game and lost every year? Yeah, I think they're like, overall, they're 0-6 their last week 1 games. But
wow, I didn't know that because Kelly, this is what, year 3 now for Kelly?
I think I want to say year 4, and I believe they might be
well, no, because Lincoln's only been at USC for 3 or 4 years. They came in at the same time. I believe this is year 4. The 1 year I remember they lost to a bad Florida State team on the Sunday night.
Yeah. So, yeah, Brian Kelly is 0-2 in week 12. Well,
so this is his 3rd year. I was right.
Well, that was entering the 2024 season.
Okay, so this is year 4.
Yeah. So, and they have not won a week 1 game in that time.
Yeah, I don't know about this Klubnik either for Clemson. And Dabo hasn't really won anything since Deshaun Watson, ironically enough. They have used the transfer portal a little bit more in the past, though not as much as they really should. And to me, they don't have the talent of Ohio State or a Texas or even a Penn State or an Alabama or a Georgia. Like, when I think of Clemson, I don't think of them before I think of any of those teams I just mentioned to you. And I don't take the ACC seriously really at all. I think
it's only a matter of time before the ACC folds, and you're probably going to see Clemson in the SEC. I think you'll see like North Carolina, Duke, probably in the Big 12, Virginia and Virginia Tech, probably in the Big 10.
Oh, I think eventually we're going to get to a space where we're just going to have the 2 conferences, the SEC and the Big 10.
I don't think the Big 12 is going anywhere.
Well, they should. I'll put it to you that way. The Big 12 is a joke.
Yeah.
If you thought the Big 12 was a joke before, look at it now. I mean, who's in it? Basically, who? Arizona?
Yeah, Arizona, Utah.
Boise State, I believe.
No, Boise State's not in it.
Oh, did they stay in the Mountain? I thought they were a part of that restructure for some reason.
They might be in the new Pac-12, but they're not in the Big 12.
Okay.
Yeah, you have like Houston, UCF, Cincinnati, BYU, Arizona, Arizona State.
Oh, that's right. Boise State did win the Mountain West Conference last year, and then they got clocked.
Yeah, by Penn State.
With our favorite running back, Ashton Genty.
Yes.
But this game to me, I don't know. Doesn't it feel like a weird game, like a 16-13 defensive, like what the hell was going on here game?
Yeah, but I could also see a scenario where Clemson just rolls. Unlike what Lucky is saying, I could see a scenario where it's Clemson who rolls.
So educate me, if you will, as well, on Miami, Florida's new quarterback, because they're still ranked 10. Cam Ward is obviously not there anymore. Notre Dame being 6, like, listen, they had a good run last year. They obviously made the national championship game. They've recovered nicely since Brian Kelly left. You know, a lot of people thought that they weren't going to be as good with Marcus Freeman. Turns out Marcus Freeman's a really good recruiter. But again, I felt like Notre Dame got a cupcake ride last year in the national championship game. They faced a team with a bunch of injuries. They didn't really have to go through big competition. Like, they're not, I don't care about the fact they're independent and all of this. They're not on the same level as the best teams in the Big Ten and the SEC. They really need to join the Big Ten, if you ask me.
Yeah, they do. But they're going to continue refusing and saying, we're Notre Dame. We're better independently. You know what's funny, though, is Brian Kelly left Notre Dame to go to LSU because he wanted to win, like, national championships and stuff. And he hasn't even gotten LSU to the college football playoff, and yet Notre Dame was in the college football national championship last year.
Yeah, Brian Kelly has made himself look like a fool. Let's be honest. And Notre Dame is laughing at him. Now, Notre Dame, obviously, Riley Leonard is not there anymore, quarterback. So we got 2 new quarterbacks. By the way, Riley Leonard, I believe he was either taken in the same round or right before Quinn Ewers as well. We're talking about quarterbacks that were taken before Quinn there in that draft. So we'll see. These are two new quarterbacks. To me, these are like fringe college football playoff teams that are like not serious championship contenders. Like there's no hype around this game for me.
No. Although they do have a long-standing rivalry, Miami and Notre Dame. It's like Catholics versus convicts. There's like a whole documentary about it.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Josh. I am more fired up for what's going to happen on Sunday night on Big Brother to see who's going to win head of household than I am to watch this game.
Yeah, Carson Beck is the starting quarterback.
That's right. I keep forgetting about Carson Beck, the old Georgia wonder, who, of course, quarterbacked those two back-to-back national championship teams, and then basically had Carson Wentz for a year, basically gave himself CTE, and now, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. He doesn't really fit the Miami, Florida style of offense, but
yeah, I mean, I'll watch this game, but am I high on either one of these teams? No.
And then we get to what I am actually looking forward to the most. I want to watch this. I think this is going to be the most entertaining game potentially of the weekend, even if they get smashed, because Bill Belichick and his team that, who knows, may or may not be led by his girlfriend, who has applied for a trademark of gold digger for a bit. I mean, what the hell? I don't even know. Bill's got some quarterback who's a transfer, I guess, from Alabama State, who's running around. He can make some plays. But, I mean, this North Carolina roster is not good. They're nowhere near Clemson's level. They're nowhere near Miami, Florida level. I mean, could Belichick come out and shock the world? Maybe. I don't know how it's going to go this year. Like, this to me really feels like a Deion Sanders Colorado situation. Like, the first year, everybody's going to get hyped about it, and then they're going to end up winning like 4 games.
Yeah. By the way, this is going to be the Aer Lingus game in Ireland next season. They did announce that.
Wait, this game, TCU in North Carolina?
Yes.
So Bill Belichick, we'll see if he's back in the NFL by that point, which is a possibility. But there's a possibility Bill Belichick may be coaching a game in Ireland. Oh, my God.
I know, right? But, like, I think the North Carolina starting quarterback's last name is Perez or something.
Something along those lines, yeah.
But
He's left-handed. That I know about him, and I only know that about him from the college football video game. I'll be honest.
Okay. TCU went on that crazy run a couple years ago, and then got absolutely destroyed by
Georgia. Max Duggan, who of course was drafted by the Chargers and then cut immediately in the preseason and never heard of again.
Yes. TCU had that crazy game with Michigan in the college football playoff semifinals. And then Georgia just said, you are not on our level. Go away. That season, the national championship was that Georgia-Ohio State game that literally ended right when the ball dropped.
What do we think would be considered a successful year for Belichick? Is it 8-4? Is it the college football playoff? I mean, what are the expectations for North Carolina?
I mean, I'll look up North Carolina's schedule right now.
The only real hard game they have is, I believe, they have to go to Clemson.
No, they host Clemson.
Okay, they host Clemson. I know they played Clemson, but that, I believe, is they may have one other ranked team in their schedule, but I know it's relatively doable.
Yeah. They play TCU this week, then they're at Charlotte, they host Richmond, and then they're at UCF. And then they host Clemson, and then, I don't really see any other hard game on their schedule besides Clemson, really.
Here's the thing about Belichick, is even before this whole NIL stuff took over, remember Nick Saban's last 4 or 5 years at Alabama, even though he was a defensive coach, they had a great offense. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. So is Belichick going to be this defensive guru? I don't know. Can Belichick win shootouts in college football? Because I think he may have to. That's going to be my question.
Yeah. Am I going to take North Carolina seriously if they win this game against TCU? No, it's not going to change my opinion. Now, if they beat Clemson, that'll change my opinion. But no, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, it depends on what their record is when they get there.
Yeah. I mean, if they like I said, after TCU, they play at Charlotte, they play Richmond, and at UCF.
Richmond. All right. Let's make our national championship predictions. Who plays, and then we'll give our winner for the 2025 national championship game in January. Josh, I'm going to probably make you happy because representing the Big Ten, I do not have the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Oh, come on.
I do not have
Drew Aller and James
Franklin. I do not have the Michigan Wolverines. I have James Franklin, Drew Aller, and the Penn State Nifty Lions.
Sorry, even as a Penn State fan, I do not trust James Franklin. No. Now,
representing the SEC, I have not Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns. I have Kalen DeVore and Alabama in the national championship. And I think for the first time in a long time in this program's illustrious history, James Franklin will break through. This is the year, Josh, for you and your Penn State Nifty Lions. They will never have another stacked team as they have this year.
Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing this? Because, listen, I think Ohio State's good. Could they repeat? Yeah. Am I betting them to? No. I think Drew Aller could end up, when it's all said and done, a top 10 pick in next year's draft. He could be the quarterback next year in Cleveland for your Cleveland Browns.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord. No, I can't do it. No, James Franklin has shown an inability to beat both Michigan and Ohio State.
Listen, I think they probably lose to Ohio State in Columbus on November 1st.
But they have to host Oregon.
Oregon's not going to be good this year. I don't buy Oregon that much this year. I didn't buy them much last year. I don't buy them this year. Like, I think Penn State, I think they caught some breaks last year, as you and I talked about. The fact they lost the Big Ten championship game was beneficial to them. That way they didn't have to play Ohio State in the second round. But I don't know. There's something about this is the year, because to me, if they don't make a deep run at least in the CFP, James Franklin's going to get fired. But sometimes every bad coach needs a breakthrough. I have made fun of James Franklin for years, but this is easily the most talent he's ever had. And why not take a dart swing? I could play it safe. I could say Ohio State, Texas, but like you sometimes do, I don't want to play it safe because I'm not as big of a college football fan as you, so I'm going to take a swing in the dark.
No, I want to believe in the Nittany Lions, but with James Franklin as the head coach, no, I can't do it. I can't.
Here's what I'll say. Going into last year, did anybody predict Notre Dame to make the college football national championship?
That's a fair point. Did anybody see Arizona State winning the Big 12?
No.
Exactly.
But they did. So
yeah.
There's my point.
Yeah. I understand your point, but until James Franklin shows me that he can win against Ohio State, that he can win the big game, sorry, I can't trust him. I can't. Like, he had the Notre Dame game right in his hands. And boop.
Well, this time he learns his lesson and he gets his revenge.
God, I hope you're right. I will scream my head off if he does.
So what's your pick, kind sir?
I also do not have Ohio State making it back to the national championship. I unlike you, I do believe in the Oregon Ducks. I actually have them representing the Big Ten in the national championship.
Oh, okay. That's a different prediction. I like it.
And they will be going against, out of the SEC, they wear orange. Oh, not burnt orange. The Tennessee Volunteers.
Wow. I will be willing to bet nobody else in the country will have that exact national championship. That's a bold pick by you.
Not. And
so
I'm
show me on Tennessee, because I know absolutely nothing about Tennessee besides the fact their quarterback wanted more NIL money and left.
Yeah. Nico Imal, I have so much trouble saying his last name, but he's now with UCLA. I like it. He goes, you guys are both on crap.
I love it.
Okay, Lucky, you guys tell us your national championship then. But I just think Josh Heupel is a really good head coach, and I think he can make something out of nothing. When you least expect him to do it, he'll find a way.
All right. Wow. I like that.
Yeah. And in terms of who wins it, Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks will be the last team standing.
Wow. I don't even know if they finished third in the Big Ten. You got them winning the national championship.
Yes.
Now, just to be clear, I don't know if Penn State's going to even win the Big Ten. That may go to Ohio State. But yeah. I think Ohio State could get knocked off in the playoff. Sorry. I mean, they could win the national championship again. But I think the one thing that we did not address with Ohio State that I think we should is Jim Knowles is now actually the DC at Penn State. He was their DC. And I think Chip Kelly being gone will have a big impact because Ryan Day and Chip had a really good relationship. Chip Kelly mostly took control of that offense. Is Ryan Day going to take more control of that offense back?
Yeah. We're going to get a really good taste of what Ohio State is made of this Saturday when they host Texas.
So while we were on vacation, there were some media rights deals that went down. Major League Baseball is close to officially making theirs. UFC has officially announced theirs. And then we'll talk about what's going on in the realm of professional wrestling in the next topic. But let's focus here on Major League Baseball and UFC. So going into the season, it was reported that Major League Baseball and ESPN were breaking up. This was going to be the last year for MLB on ESPN. That is somewhat true because ESPN is mostly getting out of what they were covering. They're not going to be doing Sunday Night Baseball anymore, reportedly. They're not going to be doing the wild card game. They're going to be broadcasting some exclusive Major League Baseball games. But the biggest part here for them, not only did they acquire the NFL Network a couple weeks ago, but now they are acquiring MLB.TV, which for those of you that are fans of a team like the Cleveland Guardians, like we are in Cleveland, know that the MLB owns the Guardians TV rights. They put them on MLB.TV. That is now reportedly going to ESPN next year. And so for those of us like us that want to watch the Guardians games, that will be on the ESPN direct-to-consumer service, which we're going to talk about when we get to WWE. Not only that, but Peacock has grabbed reportedly Sunday Night Baseball and the wild card package that ESPN had, and Netflix has acquired the Home Run Derby. There's still reports out there that Apple TV, first it was dead, and they may not be dead. They may acquire Friday Night Baseball, may go to Peacock. That is still a little bit uncertain, but Josh, real quick, I'll let you go first on this one. Your overall take on the potential new landscape of MLB.
it doesn't really make a big difference to me. I like watch some of the big games like Yankees, Red Sox. I generally will watch the Guardians, but like I'll tune in during postseason games. But like I'm not a big MLB fan anyway, so for me personally, it doesn't make a huge difference. Now, in terms of the UFC, that makes a big difference for me because I don't know if you know this, but I am a huge UFC
Oh,
fan.
I know that. That's why I included this in the rundown.
But I have refused to watch UFC pay-per-views for quite a while because I'm sorry, Dana White, but I already have an ESPN subscription. And then you're going to make me pay $80 on top of that?
Well, ESPN Plus, which is an extra $5.99, and then you had to pay the extra $80.
Yes. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. So I love that the UFC is moving off of ESPN, going to CBS, with most of their stuff going to Paramount Plus. They are moving away from, let's see, you watch it or any of those? What?
Out of these two, now Grandizer, I did agree. I used to watch Sunday Night Baseball back in the day when they had John Miller and Joe Morgan. Now it's completely watered down.
Yeah. I used to watch UFC basically almost every pay-per-view as often as I could anyway, but like I just decided it's not worth it to pay $80, especially because once the next pay-per-view comes around, I can just go back and watch the previous one when it becomes available on ESPN Plus.
Either that, or you can just go to StreamMe's or whatever you want to do and try to jank in, try to watch the stream that way.
Right. So I love that the UFC is moving off of this. I know we'll get more into this, but I don't know why WWE is going the exact opposite route and going, oh, you know what? Let's move our stuff to ESPN Plus.
Yeah, it's strange. We're going to talk about it. I want to address the baseball thing first. So I think the MLB media deal is actually bigger than what you're saying. I understand because you're not the biggest Major League Baseball fan, but let me explain to you why I think this media rights deal is setting up things for the future for not just Major League Baseball, but other sports as well. So when you look at the NFL right now, right, they have media rights contracts with CBS, Fox, NBC, ABC, but then they also have NFL Network, ESPN Plus, Peacock, YouTube, Netflix for these exclusive games, right? The NBA contract includes rights for Peacock exclusive games, NBC, ESPN, ABC, Amazon Prime. Now with Major League Baseball, you got to have NBC, you got to have Peacock, you got to have ESPN direct to consumer. You're going to have, Netflix to see the home run derby. What I think this is setting up as for us as sports fans, Josh, is eventually, and the big one's going to drop when the NFL media rights deal comes up in 2029. I think it is getting so much more expensive for us as sports fans to consume sports content that eventually what we're going to get is going to be a big streamer like Netflix or Amazon Prime coming in and saying you have to pay for each individual game on top of the paywall that we already have.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking forward to it. I can totally see it coming in the NFL, and it is making it so much harder. Whatever the good old days and we could turn on Channel 3 or Channel 5 or Channel 8 or Channel 19 and just watch the game. Now we got to have individual streaming services. Now, again, some things may cross over. NBC and Peacock now is going to have sports 52 weeks a year on a Sunday night. I like that. I think that's a really smart deal for NBC to get Sunday night football, Sunday night basketball, Sunday night baseball. But besides that, it's getting way too much, and this is not what streaming was made to do.
I agree. Let's see. He says, question, apologies if I was not clear. Sometimes we get hooked on watching sports on a certain night of the week. So with these new media moves, will you follow or no, and why not?
I mean, obviously, if you're a sports fan, you're going to watch the games when they're on. I think we all know football kind of lives now Thursday, Sunday, Monday, Saturday, obviously, if you include college. I will not be following the NBA 7 nights a week, even though it's going to be available 7 nights a week.
Yeah. Like I said, for a while, I tried to watch as many UFC pay-per-views as I could, but I just decided $80 was just way too expensive. I'm not doing that. And it sucks because there's some good pay-per-views, and I'm like, I really want to watch that. But
so, I think this deal for UFC is all about mainstream, and I love it. I've been saying it for years. They need to move off ESPN Plus and get, a streaming sort of service. I love this for UFC. They're gonna have events on ESPN Plus as well.
Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus as well, and regular CBS. I think more people are going to be watching the UFC more than ever. Saying that, though, it will be interesting to see if the numbers are what I predict they are. What happens if the UFC audience is maybe not as big as we all think? I think this is going to be a real test to that UFC argument.
Yeah. I've been wanting Dana White to bring the Octagon back to Cleveland. I was there for its debut, for its only appearance here in Cleveland, September 3rd, 2016, UFC 203, Stipe Miocic against Alistair Overeem for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. You also had CM Punk versus Mickey Gall on that card. That's where CM Punk made his UFC debut. So that was an interesting fight to be in.
It lasted about 2 minutes. That's about CM Punk's UFC career.
Yes. But personally, I think this will make me want to watch UFC more.
I'll tell you right now, if it's available, if I know that there's a main event fight coming, and maybe they start the fights a little bit earlier, maybe that's part of this. Maybe they don't start it at 10 o'clock at night.
Right. I could see that. I mean, they sometimes do fight nights in the afternoons depending on where they are, because the Octagon goes all over the world. And, Dana White and President Trump are talking about the idea of doing a UFC card at the White House next year.
Yep, and it would reportedly be on CBS, which would be insane.
Yes. That is a shirt from my family shoe store, Marlou Shoes. It has a funny saying on the back. I can show that to you later, but that's what that is. But who knows what the fight card's going to be for that? I will definitely tune in and watch, not even because it's at the White House, just because it's the UFC. And I know the UFC is cage fighting, but the reason I love it so much is kind of the same reason I love WWE and AEW anyway, not WWE. But it's because you have so many different styles of fighters. You have submission artists, you have Muay Thai, you have Jiu-Jitsu, you have kickboxers, you have the guys that just want to stand and brawl, you have the wrestlers. There's so many different styles, and it creates really intriguing matchups. And you can get fights where, the champion is dominating, and then late in the 5th round, bang, the challenger hits him with a
that's hit. One of the reasons why I've been nervous to buy an $80 pay-per-view, because the main event could last 30 seconds. That was always my argument.
Yeah, I agree with you. But part of it, for me anyway, is I might be most excited about the main event, but whenever I pay for a pay-per-view, I'm always buying it for the main for the whole card.
Yeah.
There could be a fight earlier in the card that you're like, okay, that looks okay. And it turns out to be the best fight of the night.
Okay. There's a lot of wrestling news that happened over the last month, and I know we're going to debate, so let's just jump right in. Let's start with the first topic here. So as you mentioned, Josh, WWE basically told Peacock, bye-bye. We're starting our new ESPN direct-to-consumer service early because this was supposed to start with WrestleMania 42 next April, and all of a sudden, now it's going to start with WrestlePalooza going head-to-head with AEW All Out on September 20th, and so this coming Sunday's Clash in Paris PLE is the last ever PLE for at least the main roster on Peacock.
And I will not be watching Clash in Paris because I just don't care.
And so with this move, I will say this. Over the years, right, the last 4 or 5 years, everybody kept asking me, Brandon, why aren't you getting rid of your DirecTV? Just get Hulu or Fobo or whatever. It's so much cheaper. And I kept saying it won't be. It's going to be the same price in 4 to 5 years. All these live streaming services, plus all the streaming, you're going to end up paying the same as cable. And that's what this is. Now, the good news for me is actually for my wallet, because I have DirecTV, because it has a deal with ESPN for this direct-to-consumer service to be logged in through my cable account, I actually get the PLEs for free. So it's not going to cost me any money. Now, if you don't have a service that's linked to the cable subscription or you don't have cable at all, you're going to have to pay $29.99 a month for the pay-per-view, which is a lot of money. WWE is betting on the fact their fans came to them with the WWE Network, which, let's be honest, the $9.99 WWE Network was the best invention that's ever come with streaming. It was the best app for streaming, and it was the revolutionary start of streaming. They moved to Peacock. It was $4.99 a month. Then it moved to like $6.99. Now, because of the NBA coming into Peacock, it's going to be $10.99 a month. So they have just gone up and up and up on their subscription models. They have gone more to the PLE style with Peacock as opposed to pay-per-view. My hope with this is obviously for more mainstream attention. Not that WWE doesn't need it, but it's always going to have mainstream attention. But my worry with this is ESPN is going to do what the four-letter network always does. They're going to intervene in the broadcast. I heard there's going to be Sports Center happening with the PLEs, which I guess would be cool. But I just hope production does not get in the way. I hope it's sort of a, hey, we're hosting this WWE, do what you want type of thing, because we all know what ESPN gets their hands on, they ruin.
Yeah, and I've heard that for the WWE draft, they may have some of the top ESPN personalities for it.
That would be reaching the stupidity level of I don't even know what. I hope they don't do that. Do you remember a few years ago when SmackDown just came over to Fox and they had Joe Buck and Troy Aikman announce a pick for SmackDown?
Yes.
At the time when Fox was on Thursday Night Football. Oh my God, what a disaster that was. Yeah, I hope they don't do that.
But honestly, like, think about how expensive it's going to be if you want to watch WWE stuff. Like, you got to have a subscription for ESPN. You need to have a subscription for Netflix. If you want to watch SmackDown and you don't have cable, guess what? You need to have a subscription for Peacock. Yeah.
Well, no, not even, because SmackDown, the Peacock thing is on a delay a month. So if you want to watch SmackDown, you got to get some sort of cable service that has USA Network. So you might as well get the cable service because that's what ESPN is on, basically.
So, yeah, it's going to be extremely expensive just to watch WWE.
Well, it's the same thing as the NFL. It's my whole point on this, Josh. There's nothing we can do about it. The media rights deals are getting more expensive. These leagues, the NFL and WWE, have been on top of it, and now Major League Baseball and the NBA are following their leads on it. We could get Netflix. We could get Prime. We could get Peacock exclusives. We could get Paramount Plus exclusives. We could get whatever streaming service. We could get the CW. We could get Fox and Tubi. Like, we could get whatever you want and put each separate program on there and make you pay for it because we know our fans want to consume our product, so they're going to pay for it.
Yeah. That's not even mentioning the price of tickets to go to an episode of Raw or SmackDown.
And again, fans are paying them, which is why they have record gates. And that's all it's about. It's the bottom line. It's why I have been saying here for the past couple of weeks, it reeks of TKO raking in all this money because they eventually want to sell the company at its highest for profit.
Yeah, I agree.
You could make an unbelievable argument now, and I have no idea how this happened, that WWE is somehow more profitable now than it's ever been somehow after Vince McMahon left. And you can make an argument by 2027, WWE could be owned by the Saudis because that's where we're heading.
Could be owned by who?
The Saudis.
Oh, yeah.
The Saudi government. Because I think that's where we're heading with this.
Hell, they want a WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia.
And it's probably going to happen. And WWE is going to rake in the money. I mean, it is all about the money.
Yeah.
Hell,
but the Saudi Arabia is going to host the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, next year in January. So, I don't even get what this ESPN direct-to-consumer service is. So it's not ESPN Plus, which is apparently completely different, but it's an app that you can get on your streaming device, but through your cable company.
Yeah, like I have the ESPN app on my phone. So do I have to download a different ESPN app?
No, so it's in the ESPN app. So I don't know. For example, do you have a smart TV at home or anything like that, like a Roku or a Fire Stick?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can download the ESPN app on there. Then, depending on what you have, I think if you have Hulu Live TV, DirecTV, Spectrum, there's a couple other cable companies. You can log in through your cable provider and see all the content that's on there for free.
So here's the thing, to go back to the Major League Baseball stuff. So all the NHL regular season games are on ESPN Plus. However, I cannot watch the Pittsburgh Penguins because even though Pittsburgh's 2 hours away, guess what? It's blacked out here in Cleveland because it just is. I can't watch the Blue Jackets on ESPN Plus because it's blacked out. So I'm wondering if Major League Baseball does or MLB.TV does go to ESPN, will the Guardians be blacked out based on that?
They'll be blacked out if you don't have the subscription for it.
Well, again, I have ESPN Plus, and yet the Penguins and the Blue Jackets are blacked out.
Well, the Blue Jackets are because they're on Fox Sports or whatever it's called, the Bally Sports Ohio, so you have to watch for there.
Right.
The Penguins would only be blacked out if they're on that Pittsburgh Root Network or whatever it's called that I know I get.
Yeah, when I try to watch them, it's because of a local blackout or something.
Yeah, that is strange. Let's see. What do we got next on our wrestling agenda? Oh, speaking of the ESPN direct-to-consumer service.
This is freaking war, my friend. This is freaking war. Because, WWE doesn't care about AEW. Oh, really? When are they putting WrestlePalooza on? At the same damn time as All Out. And you tell me
to fuck with Tony Khan. I mean, that's the only reason.
I'm sorry. Am I going to watch WrestlePalooza? Hell no. I am watching All Out all day, every day. Because you're telling me at WrestlePalooza I get John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. First of all, Brock Lesnar shouldn't even be back on WWE. I stand by that. Second of all, that's what that match does for me. Whereas you're telling me at All Out, I'm getting Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin, MJF versus Mark Briscoe, Adam Copeland, or as you call him, Edge, and Christian against FTR in Toronto? Give me AEW
Yeah.
all out every day, all the time.
By the way, is John Moxley going to use a fork again?
Oh my God, that was insane. If that was your first time watching an AEW pay-per-view, welcome, my friend, because that is the type of match you are going to get.
That's not wrestling. That's just disgusting. I
don't
don't know what that is, but that is not professional wrestling. That sets the sport back 30 years, in my opinion.
Well,
Gunther's sitting at home disgusted by that.
Well, I'm sorry, but I love it. AEW has been rocking and rolling lately. Like,
that's not according to the 500,000 people that watched last week. And Dave Meltzer made up the excuse that it's because of the Little League World Series.
Oh, I don't give a. Oh, so what? They're going to smaller venues and they're not getting great TV ratings. I don't care.
So Josh, here's actually, I'm not here to take a shot at AEW. I'm just telling you what I think's going through WWE's mind. They know they can't knock AEW out of business because Tony Khan has way too much money. We all know that. Tony Khan could buy WWE if you really wanted to. That's how much money the Khan family has.
Yeah.
So what they want to do is this. They are going to counter program. The WWE and TKO have figured out basically their best shot to take AEW out of business. They're going to try because they want to monopolize everything now. What they want to do is they're going to put a PLE on every time AEW has a PLE. And they are going to swoop up. TKO is every single media right deal possible. UFC is at Paramount. WWE has NBC. They have Disney. They even have Fox technically with Tubi. They have Netflix. They have Peacock exclusives now with Saturday Night's Main Event. They have almost every media streaming service you can think of besides Amazon Prime and Warner's. Because what they're going to try to do is if Warner Brothers Discovery goes down and something happens with AEW, because we know Warner's in financial trouble, there's going to be nowhere for AEW to put on a television program. And that's their strategy.
I know. And for God's sakes, WWE wants to try and get TNA a new TV deal.
Well, here we go. That was our next topic on the agenda. They want to put TNA on Wednesday nights out of all things. And I would not be surprised, by the way, if they do this and TNA just folds and WWE ends up buying TNA, and that may be what they want to do. Because TNA wouldn't come anywhere close to AEW. I wouldn't think it would affect AEW viewership at all.
No.
But I think it would be freaking funny just to witness it.
WWE has pushed me so far away with all of this. I am very much in AEW's camp. I have reinstituted my.
They are trolling fans like you right now. They are literally trolling you at the highest level.
I am reinstituting my WWE boycott. Like, I'm sorry, but you telling me I get John Cena as my WWE champion? Yeah, give me John Moxley instead. Or I'll take Swerve Strickland, or I'll take MJF, or Kenny Omega. I'll take any of them over John Cena. Thank you very much.
So, this has kind of calmed down over the past week or two since it first came out. But, like, is this still relatively possible? I think so.
What?
That TNA gets a deal and they go to Wednesday nights. Like, I think WWE, and the question is, where are they going to put it? Reportedly, they're talking to the CW. I mean, how much of an audience would TNA get on broadcast television?
I know. Like, it's honestly kind of irritating that WWE wants to control the market as much as they are. Like, why won't they allow us to have an alternative? Like, get it.
Because they want world domination. This is like going back to Triple H's NXT roots in 2018 when they had the NXT UK and there was plans to build out an NXT Europe. all throughout Europe, like before COVID-19 shut everything down. This is what WWE wants. They want world domination. And I don't even think they care about AEW contracts and numbers wise. I just think they want to fuck with Tony Khan and they want to put him out of business by basically carving up every single freaking media contract they possibly can so that there's nowhere for him to go. Because I guarantee you, as like, let's say even with the Tubi deal, I can almost guarantee you that because Tubi is owned under Fox, they have told Fox, you can't bring in AEW programming because you technically have a contract with us.
Well, do they? Because SmackDown's no longer on Fox.
But again, Tubi is owned by Fox. And when they have Evolve on Tubi, that's a Fox product. So WWE technically does have a deal with them. I mean, at this point, if Warner Brothers Discovery, which we know, I'm sorry, they are in a whole lot of trouble now that the NBA is no longer on that network. If some guy comes in there and buys it one day like they did to Turner in the 90s and says, I don't want any wrestling anymore, get rid of AEW. Basically, Tony Khan's only choice right now is either go to Amazon Prime or go on X and start streaming or start his own network. And basically what it comes down to.
WWE's trying to squeeze AEW's head.
But see, here's the thing. Tony needs to fight back. He's not fighting back. And the other thing is, and I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but some of this is on Tony for putting all his eggs into one basket. We just talked about the NFL having Netflix and Prime and CBS and NBC and all that. All of AEW's programming, for the most part, is on HBO. Now, is that because HBO owns a part in AEW? And we don't know that because apparently when it comes to this Jon Moxley lawsuit where he pushed a cameraman or something a couple years ago, the judge wants to know who owns AEW and Tony won't tell him. Is that the reason why Warner is that the reason why, AEW is only on Warner and they haven't moved to another network or had another media rights because Warner technically owns, let's say, 10% of AEW?
Well, I know there at one point there were reports AEW was going to do a show on Fox, but that fell through.
Again, I'm wondering if that's because under their new media rights deal with Warner got a piece of the company. Because why else, as soon as they signed that media rights deal, the talk about Fox went away immediately.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, but, for me, AEW has been awesome. I'm really enjoying, everything they're doing. MJF versus Hangman was fantastic at the pay-per-view, and now MJF is focusing squarely on Mark Briscoe. FTR versus Christian and Adam Copeland is going to be fantastic. I'm fine with the tag team titles not being involved. Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin. That's just going to be pure carnage. They have Chris Statlander possibly joining the Death Riders. We might be getting women's tag team championships. I think AEW's been on fire. It feels like they found their footing and have gone back to when they were at their strongest without a certain Phil Brooks.
Yeah, that's where we will have to disagree. I want to talk quickly about the fact that Saturday night's main event is moving away from NBC. They're going to the Peacock exclusive. There is going to be one on November 1st. But the news is official, Josh. I told you the last time we were on Championship Rings that this was rumored. I do have my plane ticket. I do have my hotel booked. I got to wait till tickets officially go on sale for the event. But I will be in Boston because it is official. John Cena's last ever match is taking place on December 13th on a Peacock exclusive nonetheless.
It would not surprise me if he actually loses that match, by the way.
Oh, I think he could very well lose it in 5 seconds. Imagine this. I think it's going to be one of two people. I think it's going to be a young guy now. I think they've gone through the CM Punks and the Randy Ortons and the possibilities. I wish Adam Copeland was a possibility, but I know there's no chance in hell it's happening. So because of that, I think there's two guys that are on the table to wrestle John Cena. One of them is the unpredictable badass Braun Breaker, who I think if you put Breaker over one spear, that is Cena's last match. He goes out on his back just like that. And the other one is the Ring General, Gunther. And you give Gunther the rub, and you give him the fact that he's the heel, one of the top heels in the business, because he retired John Cena. He's the reason why John Cena went out on his back.
I could very well see them doing that. Again, do I care about him versus Logan Paul on Sunday? No. Again, none of the matches at Clash in Paris are like, oh my God, I have to watch that. No. Nikki Bella versus Becky Lynch, meh. I mean, I did not like Becky Lynch's comments about Ozzy Osbourne, and clearly the city of Birmingham didn't either. But, like, the Fatal 4-Way, yeah, Seth Rollins isn't losing. Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed, okay. And, okay. And, again, John Cena versus Logan Paul, whatever.
What do you think of them objectively ignoring the John Cena heel turn? I mean, R-Truth is already back to being a babyface. Like, he never came back as a heel.
Yeah. And
they have basically said we are. I mean, I've never seen this move out of this regime. You would see it occasionally. This is like straight out of the Vince McMahon playbook. This is like when Edge went to the Judgment Day, turned heel, and then turned back babyface, and never talked about the Judgment Day again.
Yeah,
that is basically what this is.
Yeah, R-Truth is back to being like a jokester, and like
Judge Cena even said to him, he's like, "Did I say I was going to ruin wrestling? That was a bad idea."
Yeah.
So somebody has pitched the idea. I don't know if you saw this. Nick Nemeth, the former Dolph Ziggler, now is on Busted Open Radio, said they should have a gauntlet match for John Cena's last match. And when you think the match is over, all of a sudden, if you smell what the final boss is cooking, and The Rock comes out, and that's how we finish the Rock Cena chapters. John Cena's final match is technically against The Rock.
Yeah, I guess.
It will. Let me just say this: it does feel weird if Cena and Rock do not interact at least one time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But I'm just like, Raw and SmackDown have both been bad recently. Every match. Oh, distraction, interference, surprise roll up. I'm like,
somebody did a count. Did you see this? The last Raw that ended without interference was back in May when Cody beat Jey Uso in the semifinals. I guess the finals on the Raw side for the King of the Ring tournament.
And that's my point. It's like, how do I get enjoyment out of, distraction, or on the WWE PLEs? Here's a match. Here's two video packages. Oh, here's a 10-minute match. Video package. And I'm like, just give me the freaking wrestling.
I've said this before. I know you called Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble, but it does feel like Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble fucked every plan up they had for this year. And
I mean,
I don't know. Like, did you watch the Unreal series? I didn't even get a chance to ask you. Did you finish it?
Nope, I haven't even started it.
I do think, by the way, if there's any wrestling fans that have never seen wrestling before, Unreal is a perfect series to watch. It really does go behind the curtain. It explains why me and you both care a lot, albeit on different sides and for different reasons, about why we care about professional wrestling. I think it does a really good job detailing that aspect of it, that this isn't fake. But Jey Uso winning the Rumble, the writers' meeting discussion was in that doc. That's the only reason why I asked.
Yeah. That's another, reason for me is, Cody's title reign, outside of like the second AJ Styles feud and everything with Kevin Owens, was very meh. Tiffany Stratton's current title reign has been Nia Jax. Oh, here's a Charlotte Flair feud for WrestleMania. Nia Jax, Jade Cargill. And now it seems like they're going back to Nia Jax. Or, as much as I love Liv Morgan's title reign, it was basically all Rhea Ripley. I'm like, what? Why? Why?
I can't argue with you there. All right, well, we're gonna wrap things up for tonight, and we will be back on Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern time, Josh, because we are going to be making our official 2025 NFL predictions. Put them in stone. They are here. Will Micah Parsons and the Green Bay Packers make the Super Bowl? I don't know. You'll have to see Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Yep. Spoiler alert. I don't have the Kansas City Chiefs winning the AFC West.
I can't wait. I think we're going to have more disagreements this year than we did last year. It was my favorite show of the year a year ago. We're going to duplicate it about an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, B Square. We unveil all 32 team records, all the playoff teams, the MVP, the offensive rookie of the year, the defensive rookie of the year, the offensive and defensive players of the year, the coaches of the year. Who's the first coach fired? Will it be that little fish down there in Miami named Mike McDaniel?
Yes.
I don't know. We'll find out. All that Sunday, 10 a.m. We're back. Championship rings. Thank you for listening to our season 3 premiere. For the host of the Sports Room Talk Show, Under the Max, I'm the host of Brandon's World, Brandon Lewis. We'll see you on Sunday morning. And
bye-bye. Sorry, I would hate to be a Dallas fan right now.